You ever wondered what it feels like to fly faster than anything else in the world, to be so high above the ground that the world below looks like a tiny toy, to sit in a cockpit so advanced that it seems almost untouchable, to handle controls that can change everything in seconds, and to feel a heartbeat racing with every decision you make, to imagine the thrill, the fear, the excitement, and the power of being inside the SR-71 Blackbird, the legendary plane that pilots called Untouchable, the fastest jet ever built that could outrun anything in the sky, the machine's engines roaring louder than anything you have ever heard, the speed pushing the limits of human experience, the altitude taking you above clouds and above danger, to a place where only courage and training matter, to a place where time seems to bend as you soar faster than sound. Pilots who have flown this marvel speak of moments when life hung by a thread, when a flick of a switch could mean disaster or survival, and yet every flight became a story of mastery and awe. This is a plane that challenged the ordinary, that turned fear into focus, that transformed mere humans into legends. The SR-71 Blackbird was not just a machine, it was a test, it was a teacher, it was a challenge. Every takeoff, every maneuver, every high-speed chase through the sky was a lesson in precision and courage. And even if you have never flown, even if you have never touched a joystick, even if the thought of flying makes your stomach flip, you can feel the pulse, the tension, the adrenaline, the triumph that came from conquering the impossible. This is not a tale of fantasy, it is the truth, the real stories from pilots who faced the untouchable, who embraced speed, danger, and the unknown, who looked death in the eye and turned it into a story worth telling. And as you listen today, imagine yourself in that cockpit, imagine the wind tearing past the canopy, the instruments flashing red and green, the ground shrinking below you, and feel that same mix of fear, excitement, and exhilaration that made these flights unforgettable. And that is why today we are going inside the cockpit of the untouchable SR-71 Blackbird to see what it really takes to fly faster, higher, and more daring than anything else ever built. Hello, I am Mary, and I tell stories that bring real experiences to life, stories that inspire and teach lessons from people who have faced extraordinary challenges in ordinary ways. Today, I will take you inside the cockpit of the SR-71 Blackbird, the untouchable jet that flew faster than anything else, and I am here to guide you through these true stories because I have spent years researching, interviewing pilots, and gathering details that most people have never heard. I have walked inside hangars, I have examined instruments, and I have listened to accounts that are at once thrilling and deeply human, and I share them with you so that you can not only understand the incredible feats of these pilots, but also feel the courage, the focus, and the determination that carried them through moments that most of us can only imagine. My goal is simple: to make you feel as if you are there, to make the story vivid, real, and accessible to anyone of any age, even if you have never been near an airplane, even if the idea of flying makes you nervous. You will be able to follow every heartbeat, every decision, and every incredible maneuver, because this story is about people, not just machines. It is about facing fears, learning from experience, and achieving the impossible even in moments that seem ordinary. This story will show you that preparation, discipline, and courage can turn an average person into someone capable of extraordinary things. And that is why I am here to guide you, to bring the cockpit alive, to make every second count, to hold your attention from the first takeoff to the final landing, and to show you that these pilots were not just legends because of speed or technology, but because of the human spirit that drove them to accomplish what few dared to try. And as we move forward, you will see how ordinary humans became extraordinary pilots, and how the lessons from the untouchable SR-71 can inspire us all in our own lives, no matter our age. You might think that pilots who fly the SR-71 Blackbird are superheroes born with nerves of steel, or people untouched by fear, but the truth is far more surprising. These were ordinary men and women with fears, doubts, and limits. Just like anyone else, they felt the same rush of adrenaline, the same heartbeat pounding when facing the unknown, and yet they achieved the extraordinary because they embraced preparation, discipline, and focus. The real secret was not some superhuman ability, it was learning to turn fear into action, to use it as a signal to focus sharper, to act faster. Every pilot recounts moments when their hands shook, their stomachs twisted, and yet they had to make life or death decisions in a split second. The Blackbird could fly faster than a missile and higher than most clouds, and in that realm mistakes could be fatal. One small error could lead to disaster, and yet these pilots pushed on. And even more astonishing, many were later retired individuals who returned to the cockpit with wisdom, patience, and courage beyond their years. They understood that experience mattered more than youth, that calmness under pressure was more valuable than raw reflexes, that understanding the machine and trusting oneself could overcome the limits of the body and mind. And this is what sets the story apart. It is not just about speed or altitude, it is about the human spirit. It is about ordinary people confronting extraordinary situations and rising to the challenge. It is about realizing that even In our 60s, 70s, or beyond, we can still face new challenges, learn new skills, and experience moments of awe and triumph that many think are only for the young. And as you listen to these pilots recount their flights, imagine yourself learning from every decision, every maneuver, every risk they took, and notice how fear was transformed into focus, how tension became precision, how ordinary humans became capable of doing what most could never dream. And that is why the SR-71 Blackbird remains legendary, not only for its unmatched speed and engineering, but for the remarkable stories of the people who flew it. Stories that show courage and mastery are not reserved for the fearless. They are cultivated by anyone willing to face the unknown, prepare diligently, and act decisively. And as we move into the actual stories of the flights, you will see how this unexpected truth plays out in real time, how challenges appear without warning, and how training, experience, and heart can turn moments of danger into moments of triumph, preparing you for the lessons we will extract and the inspiration that will carry you through the rest of this incredible journey. Imagine stepping into the cockpit of the SR-71 Blackbird, the untouchable jet designed to fly faster, higher, and more daring than anything else built, to feel the weight of the suit, the helmet, the restraints, and to realize that every switch, every dial, every lever is a decision that can change everything. The engines roar to life, and the vibration pulses through your body. The runway stretches ahead like a ribbon leading to the sky, and with every second your heart races, your senses sharpen, and your mind focuses on procedures that must be followed perfectly. Takeoff is not just acceleration, it is a delicate dance of power, control, and timing. The Blackbird pushes forward faster than the eye can follow, and the ground below begins to shrink rapidly, as if the world is folding beneath you. The horizon tilts and the sky expands above and around you. The cockpit is a blend of high technology and human determination. The instruments flash in colors that signal systems, pressures, temperatures, altitudes. And every reading is critical, every gauge is a teacher, every light a warning. And as the plane ascends, the air thins, the pressure drops, and the temperature fluctuates. Pilots describe the feeling as stepping into another world, a place where ordinary rules bend, where speed and height are measured in extremes, and where focus and calm are your only allies. They recount how during these initial minutes, they felt the blend of fear and awe, like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down, knowing that every action matters, and yet the thrill is intoxicating. The acceleration forces press you back into the seat, the controls respond instantly, and you must anticipate every movement before it happens. Even small miscalculations could escalate into danger, and yet it is in this pressure that skill is honed and awareness sharpens. The pilots speak of the silence inside the cockpit amid the roaring engines, a mental clarity where thought and action become seamless, a synchronization of mind, body, and machine where hesitation is eliminated and instincts take over. Every detail, from monitoring fuel flow to adjusting altitude to keeping communication lines open with base and other aircraft, requires mastery and constant attention. The beginning of the flight is also a test of nerves and training. Every check, every calculation, every procedure is a reaffirmation that preparation and knowledge can overcome fear. As the SR-71 climbs above 20,000, 30,000 feet, the sky darkens into a deep azure. The curvature of the earth begins to show, and the clouds are below like a sea of cotton. The feeling of isolation is profound yet empowering. The pilots feel the majesty of flight, the exhilaration of speed, and the responsibility of absolute control. At this altitude, the world seems both impossibly vast and intimately connected. The slightest error could cascade into disaster, yet the focus required transforms anxiety into precision, into a rhythm that drives the plane and pilot forward together. The first maneuvers test the limits of both aircraft and human endurance. Every roll, every climb, every turn is calculated to perfection, and each successful movement builds confidence and sharpens instincts. The cockpit becomes an arena where concentration, courage, and expertise meet the machine's capabilities. The takeoff and climb are also when pilots describe moments of awe, glimpses of the horizon bending, the clouds rushing past the canopy, and the sun glinting off instruments, creating a world that is at once beautiful and terrifying. The beginning of the flight sets the tone for everything that follows. It is a crucible where preparation meets reality, and where the untouchable Blackbird earns its name. The pilot learns immediately that flying this jet is not just about speed, but about anticipation, understanding the machine, trusting your training, and responding to the unexpected with calm precision. And as we move into the next stage of the story, the true tests of skill, courage, and decision making begin, the unexpected challenges and critical moments that will define each flight and teach lessons not only about aviation but about the resilience, focus, and heart required to master the untouchable SR-71 Blackbird. As the SR-71 Blackbird climbs higher and accelerates faster, the challenges begin to appear in ways that are sudden and unforgiving. Pilots recount moments when alarms flash and instruments indicate anomalies that require split-second decisions. Every sound, every vibration, every fluctuation of pressure could signal a minor issue or a life-threatening emergency. The thin atmosphere at extreme altitudes can play tricks on both man and machine. Oxygen levels drop, temperatures fluctuate, and any hesitation could cascade into catastrophe. During one mission, a fuel line warning forced the pilot to make a choice between immediate corrective action, risking an unplanned maneuver, or continuing at full speed and trusting the system. The tension in the cockpit was tangible. The heart raced, hands gripped controls tighter, and every second felt like an eternity. Every calculation mattered, and mistakes were not an option. Yet the pilots describe a strange clarity emerging from this chaos, a laser-sharp focus that allowed them to analyze the problem, act decisively, and maintain composure under pressure. The machine's incredible speed amplified every action and reaction. What might seem minor at normal speed became critical at Mach 3 or higher. Every instrument reading, every control adjustment had to be anticipated, not just executed. The pilots had to manage navigation, communication systems, engine performance, and fuel flow simultaneously, all while adjusting for wind speed, temperature differentials, and the unpredictable behavior of the upper atmosphere. Every challenge demanded a balance between instinct and procedure, and the most experienced pilots recount that these moments were where real skill emerged. A sudden turbulence at 30,000 feet required immediate corrective action. The plane shuddered, alarms rang, and the ground far below seemed distant and insignificant, yet the pilot's response was instinctive, trained, precise, and confident. They adjusted the control surfaces, coordinated with the co-pilot, and maintained optimal speed and altitude. Every maneuver executed perfectly, preventing disaster and reinforcing the importance of preparation, training, and calm under pressure. In another mission, unexpected weather patterns forced the Blackbird into a high-altitude storm with lightning and turbulence threatening both aircraft and crew. The pilots described the tension, the adrenaline, the careful timing of every move, the rapid calculations made in seconds, the coordination between pilots, and the constant awareness of instruments and surroundings. These were not just flights, they were tests of courage, resilience, and mastery over both machine and fear. They describe moments when the plane seemed alive, when every system was a partner demanding respect and attention. The stories include near misses with other aircraft, complex maneuvers to avoid detection by radar, and moments when the environment itself became a formidable opponent. Wind, sheer turbulence, extreme cold, and intense heat challenged both pilot and machine. Every second required decisions that could determine the success or failure of the mission. The pilots explain that confidence comes from preparation and repeated experience, that fear becomes a tool to heighten senses, and that focus can turn seemingly impossible situations into achievable outcomes. The lessons from these flights are profound, not only about aviation but about life: how to remain calm under pressure, how to act decisively in the face of uncertainty, how to trust knowledge, training, and instincts over panic and doubt. These moments of conflict highlight the extraordinary capabilities of the SR-71 Blackbird, while also revealing the extraordinary human spirit required to master it. As we move into the next part of the story, we will see how these challenges transform into understanding and mastery, how fear turns into confidence, and how every high-speed decision teaches lessons that extend far beyond the cockpit, preparing us for the final insights and inspirations that this incredible journey offers to anyone willing to face the unknown with courage, determination, and focus. After facing the intense challenges and high stakes of the flight, pilots describe a transformation, a shift from tension and fear to mastery and understanding. They recount how each moment of crisis taught them something profound about the plane themselves and the art of flying. The SR-71 Blackbird, the realization comes that the aircraft responds not just to controls, but to a deep awareness of its systems, the atmosphere, the speed, and the altitude. Every movement is a dialogue between human and machine, and every successful maneuver builds confidence and insight. Pilots speak of how fear became a teacher, how focus became instinct, and how every challenge turned into a lesson. The first realization is that preparation pays off. Every checklist, every drill, every simulated emergency practiced countless times in training manifests in perfect execution. Under pressure, the pilots begin to see patterns in what initially seemed chaotic: anomalies in instruments, sudden weather changes, and high-speed Turbulence all become predictable through observation experience, and intuition. The second realization is the value of trust in oneself, trust in the co-pilot, trust in the aircraft, and trust in the training that has prepared them for these extreme conditions. This trust allows them to act decisively, to make split-second decisions without hesitation, and to maintain composure when milliseconds matter. The third realization is the importance of perspective. The Blackbird flies so fast that the horizon curves, the clouds move rapidly beneath, and the earth below seems distant and insignificant. Pilots describe a feeling of humility and awe, understanding that despite the incredible technology at their fingertips, their human skill, judgment, and courage remain the defining factors in each mission. These discoveries transform not only the flight, but the pilot. The initial anxiety and tension are replaced with confidence, calmness, and a deep satisfaction that comes from mastery and understanding. They speak of a mental clarity that emerges after surviving critical moments when adrenaline fades, leaving only focus and appreciation for the complexity and beauty of what they have accomplished. The transformation also includes emotional growth. The pilots report a heightened awareness of their limits and capabilities, a recognition of the value of preparation and patience, and a profound respect for the unpredictable forces of nature and the demanding technology they operate. They describe how each successful flight reinforces the lessons learned, and how repeated exposure to high-stress situations trains the mind to handle uncertainty and danger with grace. The Blackbird itself becomes a symbol of what can be achieved when human determination merges with extraordinary engineering. Every flight a story of struggle, triumph, and insight. The pilots emphasize that these lessons extend beyond aviation. They highlight the importance of embracing challenges throughout life, learning from mistakes, and using fear and uncertainty as tools for growth. The transformation they experience illustrates that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it, and that mastery is the result of preparation, experience, and the willingness to face the unknown. And as we move toward the next chapter, these insights lay the foundation for practical lessons for anyone listening. The way the pilots mastered the untouchable SR-71 can inspire strategies for focus, confidence, and courage in everyday life, showing that extraordinary achievement is possible at any age with preparation, determination, and heart. The experiences of pilots flying the SR-71 Blackbird offer lessons that go far beyond aviation, lessons about focus, preparation, courage, and adaptability, lessons that anyone can apply at any age. The first key lesson is preparation. Nothing in life is left to chance, and mastery comes from diligent practice, planning, and repetition. The pilots emphasize that every checklist, every drill, and every simulation builds a foundation that allows action under pressure to be decisive, accurate, and confident. The second key lesson is focus. In the cockpit, there is no room for distraction. Every second counts, and attention to detail can mean the difference between success and failure. This teaches us that when we focus our mind fully on the task at hand, when we prioritize what truly matters, we can achieve far more than we imagine. The third lesson is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. The pilots recount moments when fear was intense, but trust in their skills and training allowed them to make critical decisions. This applies to life as well. Stepping into new experiences, learning new skills, or facing challenges requires courage and action, even when uncertainty is high. The fourth lesson is adaptability. The SR-71 operates in extreme and unpredictable conditions. Pilots must adjust constantly to changes in weather, altitude, speed, and equipment response. The lesson is clear. Being flexible, open to change, and able to adapt quickly allows us to navigate life's challenges with resilience and confidence. The fifth lesson is trust and collaboration. The Blackbird is rarely flown alone. Coordination with a co-pilot, ground control, and support teams is essential for mission success. Trusting others and communicating effectively can transform difficult situations into manageable ones. The sixth lesson is perspective. From 30,000 feet, the world below seems small, and problems seem less daunting. This reminds us that stepping back, seeing the bigger picture, can reduce stress and help us make wiser decisions in daily life. The seventh lesson is perseverance. Every flight is a test of endurance, patience, and determination. Setbacks are inevitable, but persistence and continued effort lead to achievement, even when progress is slow or challenges appear overwhelming. The eighth lesson is learning from mistakes. The pilots describe minor errors that could have been disastrous as powerful teachers. Each mistake teaches what to do differently next time, emphasizing the importance of reflection and learning throughout life. The ninth lesson is embracing growth at any age. Many of these pilots returned to the cockpit after retirement or pursued advanced roles later in life, proving that age is not a barrier to learning new skills, mastering challenges, and achieving remarkable feats. The 10th and final lesson is inspiration. These stories show that ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things with preparation, courage, focus, and heart. That no matter your stage in life, you can face new challenges, grow stronger, and inspire others through your actions. And applying these lessons means starting small, practicing consistently, facing fears gradually, and seeking growth in every opportunity, just as the pilots of the Untouchable SR-71 learned to trust themselves, the instruments, and their training. We too can cultivate confidence, skill, and resilience. And as we move to the closing chapter, the story transitions naturally from learning lessons to putting them into practice, to feeling motivated, inspired, and ready to take action in our own lives, drawing from the extraordinary experiences of those who have flown faster, higher, and farther than most can imagine. As we come to the end of this journey inside the cockpit of the Untouchable SR-71 Blackbird, remember the stories, the challenges, the triumphs, and the lessons learned. These pilots have shown us that preparation, focus, courage, adaptability, and perseverance are keys to achieving extraordinary things, even in situations that seem impossible. And now it is your turn to take inspiration from these experiences to apply in your own life, to face new challenges, learn new skills, and approach each day with confidence and determination. If you enjoyed the story, if you felt the thrill, the tension, and the triumph as we flew together through the skies, please take a moment to like this video, to let us know that these stories inspire you, to subscribe to the channel so you will never miss another tale of courage, adventure, and insight, and to share this video with friends, family, or anyone who could use a dose of motivation and wonder. Remember, there is another video waiting for you appearing on the screen right now, a video that will continue to bring amazing stories, lessons, and inspiration straight to you. Do not miss it. Click and watch, and keep the spirit of curiosity and courage alive in your life. Every day, every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to experience something extraordinary, just like the pilots of the SR-71 Blackbird, who taught us that the untouchable can be conquered through skill, determination, and heart. Thank you for joining me on this journey, for sharing this moment of awe and excitement. And remember that no matter your age, your background, or your experience, you can take lessons from these incredible flights and soar higher, faster, and farther in your own life. Now go and embrace your own adventures with the same focus, courage, and determination that kept the Blackbird flying untouchable and unstoppable. The SR-71 Blackbird is legendary not only for its speed and altitude capabilities, but also for countless fascinating details that make it truly unique. Pilots often share stories that highlight the extraordinary engineering and unexpected quirks of this incredible aircraft. One remarkable fact is that the plane could reach speeds over 3 times the speed of sound, Mach 3, meaning that in a single hour it could cross more than 3,000 miles, a distance that would take most other planes several hours. To cover the extreme speed required special fuels, specially designed tires, and materials that could withstand temperatures exceeding 500 degrees Fahrenheit caused by friction with the atmosphere. Pilots describe the sensation of the fuselage heating and expanding as if the plane were breathing in fire, yet the Blackbird performed flawlessly. Another fascinating aspect is the design of the engines. The Pratt & Whitney J58 engines were not ordinary jet engines, they were a hybrid between a turbojet and ramjet, allowing incredible efficiency at high speeds. The air intake cones adjusted dynamically with speed and altitude, and pilots had to be constantly aware of these changes to maintain optimal performance and avoid engine stalls. Maintenance crews and engineers developed complex procedures to monitor the engines and ensure reliability during missions. Pilots recount the experience of seeing the cone move forward and backward in response to the airflow, and the almost magical sound changes as the plane accelerated past supersonic speeds. The cockpit itself is full of unique features. For instance, the seats are ejection capable with zero capability, meaning pilots could eject safely at 0 altitude and 0 airspeed, an incredible safety measure considering the extreme environments the Blackbird operated in. Every instrument was designed for high altitude, high speed accuracy, and pilots often had to learn new ways to interpret readings that were unlike anything in other aircraft. The navigation system was another marvel, using celestial navigation radar and precise onboard computers long before GPS was common, allowing pilots to fly undetected over vast distances and complete missions that required exact timing and positioning. Pilots also described the sense of isolation during long flights, often over hostile territory and at altitudes where the sky is almost black and the curvature of the earth is visible. The Blackbird required not only technical skill but mental resilience and endurance to handle the prolonged stress of high-speed flight. Another interesting fact is that the plane leaked fuel on the ground because it was designed to expand at operational temperatures. Pilots recount that refueling procedures were tricky and required careful planning, as the plane would seal itself at high speed and altitude, yet the fuel leaks on the runway were a common sight and part of the learning curve of operating this extraordinary Aircraft. The paint of the Blackbird was also unique, a special radar-absorbing black paint that helped reduce detection while dissipating heat from friction with the atmosphere. Pilots describe how the plane would glow red on some missions due to the intense heating, making it look almost otherworldly in the sky, and adding to the mystique and legend surrounding it. The Blackbird's performance inspired generations of engineers, aviators, and enthusiasts, showing what human ingenuity, combined with courage, determination, and skill, can achieve. Pilots share stories of camaraderie and trust with ground crews. The bond formed between those who built, maintained, and flew the aircraft was essential to mission success and often formed lifelong friendships. These stories of humor, ingenuity, and problem-solving illustrate the human side of operating such an extreme machine, from troubleshooting minor malfunctions at Mach 3 to improvising solutions in isolated environments. Every flight is a testament to creativity and resilience. The SR-71 remains a symbol of exploration, courage, and mastery, reminding us that extraordinary achievements are possible when preparation, focus, skill, and heart come together. And as we conclude this final chapter, remember that the Untouchable Blackbird was not just a plane, it was a classroom, a teacher, and a challenge that transformed ordinary people into legends. And its stories continue to inspire, reminding us that with preparation, courage, and determination, we too can rise above our limits and soar into realms we once thought impossible.